Hi guys, my name is Mora and welcome to my channel where I gather for you all the juicy and fun Reddit stories. And today our theme is kind of enraging. So hold on, maybe get yourself some tea, put on some PJs as I did, get comfy because this is about to get heated and we don't need any more discomfort than necessary. The stories I've got for you today are all very different, but they have one thing in common. At least one person in each story is giving me small dick energy. With that said, let's dive in. Am I the asshole for making fun of my girlfriend for writing fan fiction and claiming it's actual writing? My girlfriend, Abby, female 31, and I, male 33, have been together for a few months, and this Easter I was going to introduce her to my family. We haven't moved in together yet. Abby is quite smart, she has a PhD and works in her field. I only have a BA, so you can imagine my surprise when hot and smart woman wanted to date me. Anyway, I digress. Abby's passion is writing, although she's never allowed me to read anything she wrote. She dreams of writing a book and says she's practicing and trying to draft things. One day, I was staying over and fell asleep and she went to her office to write. When I woke up, I peered over her shoulder when she was writing and saw names that sounded familiar. I asked her about this and sure enough, she admitted to writing fanfiction. Apparently, she already wrote 100k fanfiction and is working on her third one. She says it's writing practice and she loves it. I told her it's cringy and if she was serious about her book, she'd write it by now because she pretty much already wrote 2 books, if only they weren't fanfiction. She got silent and told me to leave her alone. When I introduced her to my family, I mentioned that she has a PhD. My brother and sister got impressed and asked about it. Abby tried to tell them, but I interjected and told them to not be so impressed because she wastes her time writing silly fanfiction, so I don't know how she even got her doctorate. It was meant to be a joke, but Abby was angry, understandably so. She called me an asshole, she wouldn't talk to me for the rest of the day, and asked me to drive her home. I tried to come in, but she told me she wanted to be alone and write her fanfiction. I told her she was childish, but left anyway. I haven't heard back from her since then and told my sister, and my sister agreed with Abby. I tried to call Abby, but she texted me with asshole and nothing else. My sister thinks I owe Abby an apology, but I don't think I did anything wrong, and yet Abby is annoyed. Was I really the asshole here? I think at this stage we need some distinction because I feel like sometimes asshole doesn't encompass the depths of my rage at the person. So let's have a bit of improvised tiers, okay? We'll have the tiny, the regular, massive, and the cosmic asshole scale, okay? He, on this scale, would be a massive asshole. Not only did he make a stupid, unfunny joke rooted in his insecurity, he also disrespected his girlfriend in front of his family, insulted her in front of everybody, then disrespected her hobby, then doesn't even realize what he did and is unwilling to open his tiny little eyes and look at how terrible of a boyfriend he's being. Now, I don't think that this relationship is great from the sounds of it. In my opinion, Abby, you could do so much better, girl. This insecurity, I'm sure, will not be localized to this one situation. It's just gonna keep growing and growing because he clearly is insecure about the fact that she has a PhD. He is a BA, though I don't really think that in a healthy relationship you should feel that way. Like, you should accept your partner and not try to compete with them in any way like that. And the comment he made was pretty fucking vicious, okay? I don't like it. I feel like these people who claim that fanfiction is cringy at this point should start like a asshole club where they just gather around and shit on fanfiction without spreading it to the masses and without upsetting people who actually like fanfiction. Now, you see, I don't read fanfiction. I wrote like 3 pages of Good Omens fanfiction when I was super drunk once, and that's about the extent of my fling with it. But I don't understand for the life of me why people, and it's so many stories like these I've seen on Reddit where people find out that their close person writes fan fiction and they're like, this is cringe. It literally makes no sense to me. Where did you get that? Why are you so against fan fiction? What did the fan fiction ever do to you? I don't know where this shit is coming from, but I certainly do not approve of it. Yeah, I think we should just move on because there is nothing else to say about him. I wish Abby the best and hopefully moving on. By the way, I'm really sorry about the background noise. I don't know what the fuck the neighbors are doing. It is super annoying, but nothing I can do about it. I will try my best to dampen it down in the editing. So the next story is, am I the asshole for pointing out to my girlfriend that my education was more rigorous than hers despite her having a PhD? Another one of the little insecure babies. I, 32 male, am a web developer and have a computer engineering degree from Georgetown. My girlfriend, 30 female, has a bachelor's in computer science and a PhD in computer science as well from 2 Ivies and did work in compilers and robotics. The other day we had a disagreement over something tech related. We were both right in different contexts after doing more research in my opinion, but during the argument she used the fact that she has a PhD against me. I pointed out that I have an engineering degree which is much more rigorous than a science degree and involves learning more advanced math. I mentioned that some of the worst co-workers I had were PhDs as universities make them use outdated things and they are horrible coders and most of their research is not really applicable in the real world and that people from coding boot camps are better developers. She has a job at a research institution now and they earn almost double what she does even after she graduated from her PhD. I also mentioned how most compiler research is irrelevant and how most things run on the web these days. She got upset, but I think she realized I was right, but did not want to admit it and cried. Am I the asshole here? She's the one who started it by calling herself an expert because she has a PhD. You're a massive asshole. I feel like his ego, which is also massive, shines through this post because he's like, I think she realized I was right, but didn't want to admit it and cried. Dude, she cried because you were fucking ridiculous and you were telling her that your education was more rigorous instead of saying that this is not a good argument or being like, well, not really what we're talking about right now or whatever. He went ahead and invalidated her education. He then goes on this little rant of his that PhDs are the worst co-workers. They are terrible developers, that bootcamp coders are better at doing it. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything? You're just insulting her at this point, okay? And not even that. It's like you're just trying to bring her down. And the problem is, it has nothing to do with her. And also, this little mention of like, I earn twice more than she does, even though she got her PhD, doesn't make you more of an expert than her, okay? Because working in tech and working in research are two very, very different things. And I cannot believe that the author does not seem to realize that. I don't know. I don't know if he realizes that, but it doesn't look like he does because he brings up the money, which makes me think he doesn't get it because money doesn't indicate anything. Anyway, maybe I'm biased because I don't like this dude because also of the way that he says that after doing more research, I think we were both right in my opinion. And I'm like, in your opinion? It doesn't sound right to me. That does not sound like a argument that was completely resolved. It sounds like you disagreed and that she was right. And you're like, yeah, sure, I'm right, but just like in a different way. Nah, I'm not buying it. Girlfriend, again, deserves better. So don't get me wrong. He might actually be a wonderful dude, just a little bit overburdened with his ego. But the girlfriend definitely deserves someone who's gonna respect her more and who's gonna value her more. Let's just say that. Moving on from the dudes who are insecure about their intelligence, am I the asshole for not wanting to get a female dog? My girlfriend and I have been wanting to adopt a dog for a while now. We are looking for particular breeds, and good breeders for these have a long waiting list in our area. This would be my first dog, but my girlfriend had dogs growing up and is using her experience to counter my preferences. One of the breeders let us know that we could pick from a litter she just had, but both male puppies had been claimed and we could only get a female. I really want a male dog, but my girlfriend really wants to get one of the pups. I believe that as a first dog, a male would be better for protection and stronger and probably more loyal and easy to train, especially since I'm on the fence about neutering and spaying. An intact male would be easier to handle and we would not have to deal with bleeding. If we ever get a second, I guess a female would be okay. Fixing a male is also a simpler procedure. My girlfriend called me an asshole and sexist and claims there is no significant difference just because she had dogs before. I don't see how having a preference for a dog makes me sexist. You are hella sexist and also an asshole. I have no idea about dogs. I've never had a dog. I am more of a cat person. I've had a lot of cats, don't like dogs. But this is not gonna complicate my verdict because I believe that as a first dog, what is it, your firstborn son? Jesus, would be better for protection and stronger. Now, you see, I do not know if male dogs are much stronger than female dogs, even though it sounds to me like a pile of bullshit. But then he goes, probably more loyal and easy to train. You are a gigantic sexist, and the fact that you're like, I don't see how the preference for a dog makes me sexist, and then in the same post you go like the male would be more loyal. It's just a mystery to me. This is idiotic, honestly. How did you even come to that conclusion? This escapes me. The only way I can see that you got there is by being a sexist and transferring your beliefs about humans onto dogs. I'm just floored. I'm floored by the level to which you are not aware of what you're doing. The author simultaneously claims that he has no idea about dogs because he didn't have any, and then he just goes on to say that male would be easier to train. What universe did you get that information from? I think it's also hilarious that he's on the fence about neutering and spaying, and I want to share a bit of my own experience with this. I have encountered in my life a few people, male people, of course, who were against neutering cats and dogs because they were like, you are taking their masculinity away and they're gonna suffer and they're not gonna be male anymore and this is so terrible. And it was always so ridiculous to me because you are taking your own weird thing about penises and putting it on the animal, for which the things do not work this way. And the final cherry on top is the intact male would be easier to handle and we would not have to deal with bleeding. The way that men are weird about periods is the whole another topic for me because I find it fucking hilarious. They treat it as this something alien and evil, you know, so terrible that he would just rather fight with his girlfriend and be a fucking sexist than deal with bleeding. Whatever. I wanted more to discuss this piece about intact male would be easier to handle. Again, you've never had dogs. How did you come to that conclusion? Regardless of this, massive asshole. And the Reddit served him the same exact verdict. Let's move on. Am I the asshole for helping my girlfriend with school and occasionally laughing at her mistakes? I, 28 male, am dating my girlfriend, 23 female, who went back to school to get a second degree in computer science. I also have a computer science degree and now work as a software engineer. Sometimes I help her out when she is stuck on things, although I make sure to let her do her work herself. Whenever she does things that are obviously silly, I find it funny and laugh. This is only occasionally, and it is not like I'm constantly making fun of her. Once she got a 0 on a quiz and came to me to discuss the answers, and I laughed at some of her answers. It was not such a big deal since the quiz did not count for much of her grade. I have a great sense of humor and would not mind her laughing at me as well. I have always done this for other small things like breaking something in the kitchen, and she seemed to take it well. Punctuation of this is killing me. Recently, she got the results of a class assignment where she had to make a script for a small AI to play in a tournament against the class, and she came second to last. And I found it funny not because she came last, but she did a very good implementation, but had a very tiny bug that made her AI pick the wrong move from a data structure despite computing the optimal move correctly. She got mad at me and called me an asshole for laughing. It is not like she's failing or anything and she's doing okay. I find it rude of her to call me that considering I am helping her and just having a little fun and have a good sense of humor. Am I the asshole here? Now, regardless of how many times, my guy, you repeat that you have a great sense of humor, that doesn't make it true. You have a terrible sense of humor because you think that laughing at someone's mistakes and laughing at someone's weakness is funny. It is not funny. Not even a little bit. The author of this is helping his girlfriend, who is obviously less knowledgeable and less experienced than him in his field, in their field now, and she's trying to get better at it, right? And he's laughing at her. This is just mean. And even if you think she did something silly, you don't have to laugh, because when a person learns some new skill, they are bound to make mistakes. They're bound to do something really silly. But if you are also the person who volunteered to help them, you have even less reason to laugh at them, because now you sort of have this also partial responsibility for the way that they grow in this. No good teacher would laugh at their first grader when they say 2 plus 2 equals 5. Now, every time she's gonna come to you for help, she's gonna think, is there something wrong? And if something is wrong, is he gonna laugh? It's very unpleasant. I haven't been in this exact situation, but I have been in a very long abusive relationship where every time I said something silly, whether by accident or ignorance, whenever I made any mistake, instead of just correcting me or laughing with me, the person would laugh at me. And this is a crucial difference because it also sounds like the author of this post is laughing at her, not with her. And that is probably why she's upset. In this situation, she's probably upset that she took second to last place because she probably worked really hard on her project. And yes, it failed because of the small bug, a small mistake. Why the fuck are you laughing? Show compassion, tell her how to fix it, and say you'll do better next time. Support her in this time, because then, after some time, if you will not stop doing this shit that you cover as humor, she'll just stop trusting you and stop coming to you. I can tell you that as a person who went through that. By the end of my abusive relationship, I stopped discussing anything with that person without necessity because I didn't want to make a mistake. I didn't want to be laughed at. I didn't want to be berated. And I didn't want to see this like gigantic enjoyment in my failure, however small it was. If you want to help your girlfriend, do better. And if you cannot stop yourself from laughing, if you keep thinking that you have the best fucking sense of humor, then just maybe stop helping her. Because by doing what you're doing right now, you're just hurting her and making her less and less enthusiastic probably about her work. Now, I cannot, it's just an assumption. I'm obviously not in her head, don't know her, don't know what type of person she is, but guys, I cannot imagine that working well for anybody's self-esteem. Okay, let's move on. Am I the asshole for telling my best friend his girlfriend is disgusting? I, 22 female, have been friends with Danny, 22 male, since high school, and he recently moved in with his current girlfriend Lucy, 22 female. They had a housewarming party on Friday, and Lucy spent most of the night dancing with her own friends who are very like her, excitable, extroverted, etc., and dragging Danny away from his conversations with us, his friends, to dance, even though he is more like us, introverted, not party animals. Later, Danny was being quiet, so I asked if he was okay, and he said just tired, but he just kept watching Lucy dancing and then said something in her ear the next time she came over, and she just shook her head and laughed at him. After she went back to her friends, I asked if it was bothering him how she was behaving, and he asked me to explain. I mentioned the attention-seeking dancing and the fact she was wearing something really revealing even though other guys were at this party. Danny said it didn't bother him, then said with a moody face. At the end of the night, Lucy sat down with us and started chatting non-stop about how amazing the party had been. I pointed out jokingly Danny obviously wasn't enjoying himself since he looked miserable, and Danny told her I was worried he was jealous because of her outfit. Lucy ruffled his hair, which he hates, and said he was quiet because he loved her outfit so much he couldn't wait for us all to leave so he could drag her to bed. I thought that was completely inappropriate and said to Danny in that case I'd leave if she was just going to be disgusting, and Lucy just laughed at me, so I did leave. Today, Danny had messaged me saying Lucy wants an apology before I'm allowed back at their home, but when I asked if Lucy will apologize for making me uncomfortable, he said no, she doesn't have anything to be sorry about. I was genuinely only worried about my friend, but I admit I could have just left without calling her disgusting, so am I the asshole? Edit. To clarify, I didn't say the comment about her clothes directly to Lucy. I asked Danny once, then never mentioned it again. I asked him because I know in the past he'd said anything overly sexual makes him uncomfortable. He's not the kind of guy who makes innuendos or anything. Also, I'm in no way jealous of Lucy. She's the opposite of how I'd want to be, which is fine. People can be who they want, and Danny and I already tried dating years ago, but the spark wasn't there, and it was uncomfortable after we tried being intimate, and we both agreed we were better as completely platonic friends. I'm gonna give this a regular asshole. The poor girl seems to be unaware of her problem with the girlfriend, and again keeps justifying with like he told me before and blah blah blah, but it still sounds like jealousy, maybe not even in a romantic way. It can be friendship jealousy. The author might not like the fact that Danny has this new girlfriend that is opposite to her, and he seems to really like her, and he seems to pay attention to her, leave his friends to dance with her, and stuff like that. And it must really, really bother the best friend that now there is something else competing, which is not a competition, obviously, but she may perceive it as a competition, competing for Danny's attention. Now, you might wonder why a story where a female is an asshole is in the small dick energy compilation, and I'm gonna tell you that this is exactly what it's giving me. I'm not excluding anyone because of gender, and this woman does give me small dick energy even though she does not have a dick. And there is a lot of internalized misogyny happening, and also I'm getting a reading of not like other girls. I don't know if anyone else feels that vibe. Particularly two things I didn't like. First is the attention seeking dancing. How do you differentiate between dancing and attention seeking dancing? Or do you classify all the dancing attention seeking just because you don't like dancing and you're not comfortable doing that? Because that is a different story. I didn't like this judgmental thing where she's just like, she's seeking attention and pulling him away from us. He is not a toy, okay? He's not your plushie for you to fight over. because if he didn't want to go dancing, he wouldn't do that. And if he was uncomfortable declining the dance in front of all the friends, he will have the talk with her probably later. Yeah, I realize you are the best friend, but it is still none of your fucking business whether he does want or doesn't want to dance, whether her outfit was making him uncomfortable. And also, I love how she just like brought it up out of the blue because there was no indication. She asked him why he was so quiet, and he told her he was just tired. So either he was really just tired or there was an issue but he didn't want to share. In any of these cases, none of your fucking business. And I really don't like that the author inserts herself into their relationship. For some reason, thinks she's equipped to judge what is going on between them. And then for some reason, she decided to bring up the girl's outfit. Now that makes me angry. Who are you? It is none of your business what I'm wearing, what that girl is wearing. And if Danny has an issue with that, it is Danny's place to bring it up. I don't think that the boyfriend ever can dictate what his girlfriend wears, but there can be a discussion of it does make me feel uncomfortable if you wear such a revealing dress in front of my friends, whatever. You can express these feelings, but you cannot expect the person to change. And also, you expect Lucy to apologize for making you uncomfortable? Let's roll a little bit back to how this all started. The author decided to inform the girlfriend that Danny was clearly not enjoying himself, and then Lucy, the girlfriend, said that no, he likes the outfit and he just can't wait to drag me into bed. I see how Lucy probably just tried to diffuse the situation and make it lighter without causing any strain and awkwardness. And then the author, for some reason, decided that it would be appropriate to call her disgusting. It is just a strange reaction to me. Lucy didn't say anything that scandalous. And I also want to note that she ruffled his hair and it says, which he hates. You see, throughout this post, the author tries to show her like authority and that she knows Danny better than the girlfriend over and over again in this. She ruffled his hair, which he hates, and then he mentioned to me once that anything overly sexual makes him uncomfortable, blah 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 blah. Whatever you think you're doing, just stop. When people have new relationships, they tend to change in little ways, and depending on the person, they can like or dislike different things because we all grow and change. And if you think that the girlfriend is just not as well connected to him because she does things that he doesn't like, you're probably wrong because each relationship is very different. For example, I do not like when anyone, in fact, touches me. I do not like that. And the only person I'm comfortable with touching me is my husband. So I've had a lot of trouble with some of my friends whose love language is touching. I've had friends who cannot carry a conversation without touching your shoulder, your leg, etc. So I always had to draw the boundaries. So all of my friends, if you ask them, will probably tell you that I do not like to be touched in any context. Not like ruffling the hair, just generally do not like it. But there are exceptions to the rule. I do not mind when occasionally my best friend hugs me. With every person, your relationship is different, the level of trust you have is different, and the format of communication you have will differ. This is a very new post, so there is no verdict. It's been posted posted just 9 hours ago as I'm reading this, so I'm not sure. I will check up later what the Reddit decided, but in my opinion, it's some interesting dynamic. And this was the last story I had for you today. I hope you were a bit entertained. Thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, I will see you with another video probably soon. Bye.